Em todo o universo, muito longe do planeta Terra, milhares de fenômenos inexplicáveis e violentos corroem agressivamente a trama do espaço. Essas máquinas de destruição galácticas são conhecidas como buracos negros.
Black holes are mysterious objects that lie at the frontier of current knowledge of physics. They represent a breakdown of space and time.
Há anos, os cientistas se esforçam para entender como os buracos negros conseguem atrair planetas e astros para seu vórtice e os destruir para sempre.
Black holes consume entire galaxies.
Mas o poder dos buracos negros estaria limitado ao espaço sideral? Alguns hoje perguntam se as forças que criam os buracos negros também estariam presentes no planeta Terra.
We don't understand how the universe functions as a whole.
The Milky Way is full of black holes, teeming with black holes.
Um buraco negro poderia estar à espreita sobre a Terra?
This black hole could be the cause of a lot of disappearing aircraft, ships, and actually people.
The whole evolution of life requires violence.
You're talking complete devastation. So it's not something we want to be around.
Decifrando o passado, o buraco negro da Terra. O universo é repleto de entidades que desafiam as regras da física moderna, turvam as distinções entre matéria e energia e distorcem a estrutura do espaço e tempo. No topo da lista dos mistérios cósmicos estão fenômenos conhecidos como buracos negros.
We now have come to realize in the last few years that every galaxy, like for example our Milky Way galaxy, has sitting in the middle of it a gigantic black hole. Now we don't know where these so-called supermassive black holes come from. Most likely they're remnants of the first stars.
Há anos os astrofísicos tentam entender o que são os buracos negros e como aparentemente destroem galáxias inteiras ao convertê-las em nada. Os pesquisadores continuam a fazer grandes avanços no entendimento das misteriosas forças de nosso próprio planeta. E as perguntas que fazem hoje podem mudar tudo o que acreditávamos saber sobre a Terra. Existem forças na Terra que imitam as forças presentes nos buracos negros? E mais, a Terra teria sua própria versão de um buraco negro?
Black holes can occur naturally on Earth. I'd estimate the size of a pinhead, probably smaller. But that's enough to actually cause a major effect.
No espaço longínquo, quando as estrelas chegam ao fim da vida, as partículas remanescentes colapsam sobre elas mesmas e formam uma massa densa tão forte que nada nas proximidades pode resistir à sua atração gravitacional. Até mesmo a luz que se desloca a 299 mil quilômetros por segundo é tragada pelo vórtice.
Matter produces gravity, and gravity attracts things. And a black hole is an object that is so massive that it attracts everything. Nothing can escape, including light itself.
Os buracos negros são colossais. Em geral, sua massa é de 4 a 15 vezes maior do que a do Sol. Mas os buracos negros maiores, chamados buracos negros supermassivos, têm massa 10 bilhões de vezes maior do que a do Sol. O tamanho de um buraco negro é medido por seu horizonte de eventos, uma linha invisível que o cerca. É o ponto no qual sua atração é inescapável.
The event horizon is where you start to notice all the different effects of a black hole. All the electromagnetics start to act kind of strange. Time and reality would be highly distorted. Magnetic fields, electromagnetics, radio communications, light would all start to be bent towards the black hole. Basically a point of no return.
Quando o buraco negro absorve mais matéria e cresce, o horizonte de eventos também se expande. Com o tempo, os buracos negros consomem estrelas e até mesmo galáxias. Ao contrário de outros corpos estelares que foram descobertos por telescópios ópticos ou por rádio, os buracos negros são totalmente invisíveis. Podem ser detectados apenas por meios indiretos.
You can only see black holes when they're eating something, because when they eat, the material that they're eating gets hot, and before it falls in, it sends X-rays out.
Teorias sobre objetos invisíveis no espaço surgiram pela primeira vez em 1794. No começo do século XX, a teoria da relatividade de Einstein provou matematicamente que os buracos negros podiam existir. Mas foi só em janeiro de 2001 que Joseph Dolan, do Centro de Voo Goddard da NASA, descobriu as primeiras evidências tangíveis dos buracos negros enquanto analisava imagens do telescópio Hubble. Dolan viu algo que o espantou: flashes de luzes ultravioleta que emanavam da Cygnus XR1, uma estrela de nossa própria galáxia a menos de 6.000 anos-luz de distância. Os flashes de luz ultravioleta avistados por Dolan eram a radiação de energia criada quando a matéria passou sobre o horizonte de eventos e desapareceu no que alguns cientistas chamam de zona do crepúsculo.
Black holes consume entire galaxies. They eat away at them very slowly and makes them disappear in time.
Quando um buraco negro se forma, ocorre o efeito físico de ondulação na área ao redor, pois a atração gravitacional se intensifica. Outro efeito é a misteriosa mudança no campo magnético que cerca o buraco negro.
They have magnetism, which is in a form that's not fully understood, but that it resides inside the black hole. What the matter inside and what form it takes is unclear. What goes on inside a black hole is nebulous. It's not really something we understand very well.
A natureza obscura dos buracos negros levou muitos cientistas a supor que esses fenômenos são mais comuns do que inicialmente se pensava. Segundo uma hipótese, os buracos negros ocorrem em torno de nós o tempo todo em graus variáveis de intensidade.
The Milky Way is full of black holes, teeming with black holes.
Se incontáveis buracos negros cercam nosso planeta, é possível que um deles exista em algum lugar aqui na Terra? John Hutchinson acha que sim.
After a star collapses, a black hole is formed, and perhaps many other tiny variations of it too, or little black holes, and eventually in time they migrate to the Earth. Where there's gravity, these little black holes want to go there. So a micro black hole would simply come into the gravity well and deposit itself somewhere within the Earth.
Alguns dizem que o espaço é infinito, com um número incontáveis de planetas, e a Terra apenas mais uma porção de matéria a ser moldada e transformada pelo universo. Esse fato leva alguns a acreditar que tudo é possível. Há anos, anomalias fatais têm sido relatadas no globo, de tsunamis e terremotos a inexplicáveis desaparecimentos de navios em certas áreas dos oceanos. O Dr. Hutchinson indica uma área específica cuja latitude é de 25 a 40 graus ao norte e a longitude de 55 a 85 graus a oeste. O local ficou conhecido como Triângulo das Bermudas.
All indicators in the Bermuda Triangle seems to point to a black hole. There's exotic energy forces out there that the academic scientists really don't know how to interpret it. Could very well be that a small black hole in the Bermuda Triangle could cause all the interesting disappearances, plus also mechanical interference in aircraft and navigational problems.
Nos últimos 5 séculos, centenas de pessoas podem ter encontrado algo como um horizonte de eventos no Triângulo das Bermudas. Muitos acreditam que elas cruzaram a linha invisível que separa o mundo das leis conhecidas da física de um espaço estranho e desconhecido, do qual poucas retornaram. Sabemos surpreendentemente pouco sobre essa região. De fato, segundo alguns cientistas, sabemos mais sobre a Lua do que sobre as profundezas dos oceanos.
We live on a planet which is called Earth. Technically, our planet should be called Ocean. We probably know more about the surface of the moon than we do about what is actually below the oceans in many places.
Earth scientists tend to feel that we've done so little to explore our own planet that it's a little bit crazy to think about Mars missions when we don't, for example, even know what's on the seafloor around Bermuda.
A área é famosa por inúmeros e estranhos casos de navios e aviões que desapareceram misteriosamente. Essas histórias seriam apenas frutos da imaginação ou existiria uma perturbadora explicação científica? As forças que causam o desaparecimento de matéria em buracos negros seriam as mesmas que fazem com que navios desapareçam sem deixar vestígios? O Triângulo das Bermudas poderia ser o buraco negro da Terra?
In order to put together a story about ships in the Bermuda Triangle, we have a major problem. Many ships wreck or sink without trace, taking all hands with them. This removes the opportunity of being able to compile a report about what went wrong or what happened simply because you have no one to tell you what went on.
Segundo uma teoria, muitos aviões e navios desapareceram devido a súbitas mudanças de direção e intensidade do campo magnético nessa área. Curiosamente, pulsos magnéticos anômalos também são consequências do processo de destruição efetuado pelos buracos negros.
Black holes attract anything that is around, including magnetic fields. So black holes could have magnetic fields in them. Once something is inside the black hole, it's not easy to get it out.
Para encontrar evidências desse tipo de anomalia magnética perto do Triângulo das Bermudas, o Dr. Ron Milon, inventor e engenheiro elétrico, navegou até a região em busca de provas de que algo nas profundezas do mar cria essas perturbações.
What they were trying to find is if there's magnetic vortexes, and that's where suddenly a shift of magnetic field, and if these magnetic vortexes really do exist, that's going to aid in help in saying that there is some now physical proof that we got something really going on here in the Bermuda Triangle.
Esses vórtices magnéticos podem ser o motivo pelo qual centenas de navios foram tragados pelas águas do Triângulo?
There's not much left, but when you see those straight lines, that's a temperature of the ship.
So this is the bow of the vessel, named the Vixen, just split in half. As we come by the bow, you'll see it's bulbous, meaning it sticks out.
You know, there's 300 to 500 wrecks in the general area that we know of. There's got to be a lot more. Proton magnetometers have never worked very well in Bermuda, so maybe this device is just the thing. You never know what could be in here. You never know.
O Dr. Milone criou um sistema autônomo de detecção de anomalias magnéticas. O aparelho está sendo usado no Triângulo pela primeira vez.
The particular device that we're working on is called the BTD, the Bermuda Triangle Detector, and it's tuned to the magnetic declination of where we are, and it monitors for anything outside a 2-degree window. So anything that's outside 2 degrees suddenly changes, and then it's going to set off an alarm. Setting up the power source data collection system, our sensor input system, software controlled.
O Dr. Milone passou 10 anos desenvolvendo e testando o aparelho, que já mostrou ser muito preciso em testes de laboratório.
She's in monitor mode right now. So far, steady as a rock.
4 horas depois, o aparelho ainda não detectou nenhuma mudança brusca no magnetismo. Uma tempestade assoma no horizonte, enquanto o navio se aprofunda no desconhecido. De repente, ele apita.
Oh, she triggered. Yeah? Yeah. Yep. Something caused it to shift. Now, just to make sure, we're going to reset the system. Turn around, I want to go back again.
Enquanto navega pelos mares traiçoeiros e misteriosos do Triângulo das Bermudas, o Dr. Ron Milone usa seu detector magnético para buscar indícios de buracos negros na forma de vórtices magnéticos. Ajustado para detectar variações magnéticas no oceano, o aparelho permaneceu em silêncio até agora.
Oh, she triggered.
O aparelho foi ativado. Pode ser uma anomalia passageira. O Dr. Milone pede que o navio volte e refaça o mesmo caminho.
If it happens once in a blue moon or something, it could be that there might be some volcanic action, volcanic rock underneath that we're getting close to. Now, if we go back and it starts just going off randomly back and forth, then we're really sensing that there's something going on that's changing the natural magnetic footprint in the background here. This is exciting. This may be, we may have something over here going on. Oh, here we go. Up again. We're just in the same general area that we were just a couple of minutes ago. We made an about face coming back, and it seems like right in this area, we got some magnetic variations going on right here. We may have something magnetically hot in this area here, so this is really exciting, and I'm just getting some of the coordination down here. 32 degrees, 18 minutes north, 64 degrees, 53 minutes west. We're going to turn around.
O Dr. Milone pede que o barco faça o mesmo trajeto uma terceira vez para confirmar a localização.
Again, go for the third time. There we go. We got another offset. So something definitely is happening here. Yeah, we got another alarm again. All engines stop.
De repente, a câmera desligou.
We were
experimenting with Ronnie with his new magnetic vortex detector, and the thing went off, which I personally didn't expect. And as soon as it went off, the camera batteries died. The camera's a really, sophisticated and sensitive piece of electronic equipment. I mean, it's a high-def camera. It's generally not affected by anything except, pretty strong electromagnetic interference. And for it to kind of all of a sudden die, and for the batteries to give out is really pretty unusual.
What's going on right now? Well, something's going on right in this area. We had 3 passes right in the same general area coordination here. We're losing batteries from the camera. The camera's just starting to die out all of a sudden, and the system has been beeping, triggered each time. Somewhere right in this location, which we mapped it with GPS, this could be a real magnetic vortex.
I'm on the skeptical side, but I think there's more to Mother Nature than meets the eye. And I think there's a lot, especially under the ocean, that we don't understand. It's kind of silly to especially think that we know everything that's going on. I don't know. I'm just a camera guy.
So the next step is we're going to bring a team out here, underwater camera systems, and really map out and get the topography underneath the ground. This is great. I mean, I come out here and testing the system in a real Bermuda Triangle. It's working the way it's designed, and it's telling us that there's something definitely going on in this area.
Os cientistas afirmam que buracos negros como os que existem no espaço simplesmente não poderiam existir na Terra.
It's clear that there aren't black holes on Earth, or anywhere near the Earth, or we wouldn't be here talking about them.
Mas o Dr. John Hutchinson, que há muito tempo investiga anomalias físicas, tem uma teoria singular que explica como um micro-buraco negro pode existir na Terra e ser o causador dos fenômenos mortais que ocorrem no Triângulo das Bermudas.
If a ship were, let's say, in the Bermuda Triangle and relied heavily on the traditional navigation, what if the black hole is actually able to shift, which it can do, the geomagnetic field of the Earth and bend it and distort it? By doing that, of course, we'll offset the compasses, thus causing a great deviation in flight.
Quando devora a matéria, o buraco negro libera várias forças intensas, inclusive ondas magnéticas. Então, um buraco negro localizado no fundo do Atlântico pode estar afetando o campo magnético da Terra?
There are quite a lot of losses of airplanes and ships because there are navigational difficulties, unusual ones, that navigators are perhaps surprised to encounter. Over most of the planet Earth, if you measure magnetic north, then it's different from true geographical north. But in the Bermuda area, magnetic north happens to coincide with true north. Where you get very dense magnetic intrusions, there you can get very strong magnetic fields. In some places in Iceland, for example, I've gone with a magnetic compass, and the bearing has been up to 45 degrees or even 90 degrees wrong, because there's some very strongly magnetized volcanic rock nearby. And there are certainly rocks of this sort in the Bermuda area, so that could also present problems.
It's also possible that Bermuda, rising as it does alone in the North Atlantic, can create magnetic anomalies that would affect the early types of compasses.
Hoje, os cientistas têm evidências de que o campo magnético da Terra está em constante mudança e reversão, apresentando áreas de deslocamento magnético.
The Earth's magnetic field is generated in the Earth's core, which is molten iron. That iron is convecting, it's overturning as it transports heat from deeper within the Earth from the inner core, and those convective motions, coupled with the Earth's rotation and the electrical conductivity of the iron, give rise to regeneration of magnetic field.
Jeremy Bloxham é professor de geofísica da Universidade de Harvard. Ele descobriu uma região onde o sul magnético misteriosamente se transforma em norte magnético. Não há nada parecido na Terra. O fenômeno se chama inversão magnética.
Right at the core surface, beneath the South Atlantic Ocean, we see this patch where the magnetic field has reversed polarity. So in that region, the magnetic field is going in the opposite direction from how it's arranged over most of the rest of the Earth's surface.
O professor Bloxham, que não acredita em buracos negros, explica essa anomalia com imagens.
Well, what we're looking at here is a map of the magnetic field at the top of the Earth's core. As we go forwards in time, we'll notice as we get into the 20th century that the blue region beneath the South Atlantic Ocean grows in intensity, ending up with this large patch where the field lines are going in the opposite direction from what we would expect. So here, this patch in the southern hemisphere, the field has reversed.
Se essas inversões forem fortes a ponto de afetar as bússolas de aviões e navios, as consequências podem ser catastróficas. O caso mais famoso envolvendo uma bússola avariada no Triângulo das Bermudas é o desaparecimento do Esquadrão 19. Em 5 de dezembro de 1945, 5 bombardeiros Avenger da Marinha Americana deixaram o aeroporto naval de Fort Lauderdale para uma missão de rotina e sumiram no coração do Triângulo das Bermudas. Em uma das últimas transmissões para o Esquadrão 19, a torre disse ao líder do grupo para tomar a direção oeste.
Flight 19, assume bearing due west.
O líder respondeu, não sabemos de que lado está o oeste.
We don't know which way is west. Everything's wrong. Flight 19. Flight 19, come back.
Flight 19, which was a Navy torpedo bombing mission that 5 went out. And all of a sudden, after a few hours, they were in a disarray, and all 5 Navy bombers, all 5 of them, independent pilots, highly skilled pilots, just vanished and disappeared into the triangle.
Um hidroavião foi enviado com a missão de resgatar o esquadrão. Passaram-se horas sem notícias da aeronave. Assim como o Esquadrão 19, o hidroavião nunca mais foi visto.
They probably just flew out and got mixed up in this and just his instruments didn't work and they didn't know where they were going. And what happened to the one that went to look for him? He never came back.
So when they're going in there, the communications are suddenly stopped. Navigational information being cut off abruptly would indicate that there appears to be a black hole in that vicinity, acting like a gigantic drain and pulling all that electromagnetic energy into it.
Os buracos negros provocam mudanças na força gravitacional de todo o universo. Em menor escala, efeitos semelhantes no campo gravitacional são encontrados em uma área sem similares na Terra. Perto de Porto Rico, no extremo sul do Triângulo das Bermudas, situa-se a segunda região mais profunda do planeta, uma rachadura no solo oceânico com mais de 8 quilômetros de profundidade. Nessa área, conhecida como Fossa de Porto Rico, ocorre o maior fenômeno gravitacional negativo da Terra, que até hoje permanece inexplicado.
Why is the Puerto Rico Trench the deepest part of the Atlantic Ocean, and why is it associated with the largest negative gravity anomaly on Earth? Are questions that puzzled me for quite a while and really attracted me to come and work there.
O geofísico marinho Yuri Ten Brink não acredita que existam buracos negros na Terra. No entanto, encontrou um enigma gravitacional como nenhum outro no planeta. A força da gravidade é mais fraca em uma área do Triângulo das Bermudas.
It is important to use the word anomaly because it is only the change from the average gravity around the Earth. So the changes from that average is only about 0.3% of the total gravity field. So when I go to Puerto Rico, I do not really feel a lot lighter. I am probably lighter by 0.3% of my weight. We're only looking at the very, very fine scale, but this fine scale is still very significant.
O desvio gravitacional captado no Triângulo das Bermudas não se compara à imensidão das ondas gravitacionais emitidas pelos buracos negros. Mas a grande questão é: por que motivo essa área específica destoa do uniforme campo gravitacional terrestre? Essa anomalia de 0,3% pode variar conforme o caso? E o que aconteceria a um navio ou avião caso se tornasse acentuadamente mais leve ou mais pesado do que o normal? Em todo o universo, as forças da gravidade normalmente são uniformes e previsíveis. No entanto, quando um objeto rompe o limite do horizonte de eventos de um buraco negro, as forças da gravidade se tornam tão intensas que o objeto é completamente destruído.
Well, the gravity around the black hole is hugely strong. It's unimaginably strong. So the black holes will just, like a gigantic vacuum cleaner, they'll just suck anything that comes by purely by gravity. So the gravity of the black hole is just immensely strong. so strong that not even light can escape. So the grip of black holes is total.
Como está documentado, a região tem uma história assustadora que remonta a séculos. Marinheiros e mais recentemente pilotos relataram que bússolas subitamente pararam. Magnetômetros registraram altas súbitas inexplicáveis. E gravitômetros mostraram que a gravidade terrestre, por alguma razão, era diferente nessa área em relação ao resto do planeta.
Given that there's so much of the world's seafloor yet to be discovered, or yet to be explored, who knows quite what we're going to discover next? And in the last few tens of years, we've gone out and found completely new life forms in new geologic settings we never even knew about. And we've only just begun to scratch the surface.
Os buracos negros e o Triângulo das Bermudas estão relacionados a eventos destrutivos. Mas só a isso? Surpreendentemente, cientistas teorizam que os buracos negros também estão ligados a processos de criação. Os mesmos cálculos que provaram a existência dos buracos negros também prevêem a ocorrência de outros fenômenos no espaço. São misteriosos reflexos dos buracos negros, os buracos brancos.
There are ways actually to extract things out of black holes, very cunning ways that nature has to tap energy or even magnetic fields out of black holes.
Einstein, em sua teoria da relatividade, previu a existência de buracos brancos, objetos no espaço que ejetam ou mesmo criam matéria, expelindo-a no universo.
A white hole basically is an area that balances out a black hole. It's what perhaps a black hole emits into another dimension.
Teorias afirmam que os buracos negros e os buracos brancos existem simultaneamente no universo. Mas eles também podem coexistir de alguma forma na Terra? Alguns acham que sim. As Bermudas ficam no meio do que os geólogos chamam de Grande Província Ígnea. É uma região com estranhas propriedades associadas aos buracos brancos, em que a matéria de fato é criada sob a água.
The Atlantic Ocean was formed by the separation of North America and South America from Europe and Africa. So there's active volcanism all down the center of the Atlantic Ocean, where the Mid-Atlantic Ridge is, and that volcanism is happening as we speak.
A tensão da separação dos continentes provocou uma rachadura da crosta terrestre e posterior atividade vulcânica. Matéria jorrou dessas fissuras, criando territórios novos. Em lugares como as Bermudas, esses territórios foram criados muito bruscamente e com força devastadora. A Terra literalmente explodiu na superfície do planeta, junto com escombros e gases venenosos.
A large igneous province is defined as a big area of volcanism where the lava covers an area which is perhaps 100 miles by 100 miles in size.
Large igneous provinces are huge volumes of magma emplaced in a short period of time. This might be millions of cubic kilometers of rock. These are major short pulse events in Earth's history.
Um dos fenômenos mais impressionantes aconteceu há milhões de anos, perto da região onde hoje estão as Bermudas. O resultado ajudou a causar a separação do supercontinente Pangaea.
This particular event is just one of the most remarkable ones we know about. Not only is it linked with the initiation of opening of the Atlantic Ocean, but it is also linked with the extinction event. It covers some 7 million square kilometers, and the activity is centered in the area that would have been east of Florida there.
Segundo teorias, objetos conhecidos como buracos brancos teriam um efeito oposto ao dos buracos negros. Despejariam matéria no universo. Embora buracos brancos colossais não existam na Terra, cientistas acreditam que fenômenos semelhantes chamados grandes províncias ígneas não só ajudaram a separar os continentes, como literalmente criaram o solo oceânico sobre o qual está o Triângulo das Bermudas. São fenômenos rápidos e catastróficos e espalham matéria vulcânicas e escombros pela superfície da Terra e na atmosfera. Mas e se outro fenômeno semelhante ocorresse nas Bermudas hoje?
If we were to have the misfortune of a large igneous province starting today in the Atlantic Ocean, in the Bermuda area for instance, of course there would be a lot of volcanism. You would see a lot of CO2 and sulfur dioxide being vented to the atmosphere. If it's large enough, it would start to raise sea level. The interaction with lava flows and seawater would probably produce sort of volcanic fog. Any of the tsunamis that were produced by this, of course, could travel to any of the areas in the Atlantic. If they happened on the land, they would probably produce a lot of particulate matter into the air that would ash over some large areas. So it's not something we want to be around.
Como os teóricos buracos brancos no espaço, essa região do Triângulo tem expelido matéria nova nas águas do planeta há séculos, o que suscitou uma interessante teoria. Se os buracos brancos são o nascedouro da matéria no espaço, seriam também o ponto de origem de toda a matéria na Terra? De fato, as origens da vida teriam vindo do espaço sideral? Chandra Wickramasinghe, diretor do Centro de Biologia Estelar em Cardiff, Gales, é especialista em panspermia, uma teoria segundo a qual as bases da vida na Terra foram implantadas pelo impacto de um cometa há milhões de anos.
The idea of panspermia is that life did not start here on the Earth, but came from a much bigger cosmic system. When the first life shows up on the Earth, we know that the Earth was being severely bombarded by comets.
Mas se cometas ou outros corpos celestes transportaram as sementes da vida para este planeta há centenas de milhões de anos, as condições ideais para que germinassem, crescessem e se produzissem precisariam estar presentes.
Assuming that comets did carry the genetic blueprint of simple life forms, of heat-loving life forms maybe, then the thermal vents would have been ideal locations for these primitive life forms to have taken off and to have developed.
No Triângulo, os canais submarinos extraem minerais ricos em nutrientes sob a crosta terrestre, o que os torna um local ideal para a reprodução de formas simples de vida.
This is an absolutely fabulous environment for which to have chemical reactions because it's warm, there are a lot of minerals being leached out of the rocks, so you get this very fertile chemical soup which is kept at a nice warm temperature, and this is the absolute ideal place in which you can create new things.
If one accepts the point of view that life came from comets 4 billion years ago, even more recent injections of cometary life have to be considered a very real possibility. Comets are with us all the time. Hundreds of tons maybe of cometary debris enters the Earth's atmosphere on a daily basis. We are constantly exposed to new types of bacteria from space. That might or might not be a scary prospect.
Mas não é só isso. No globo terrestre, o local que fica exatamente no ponto oposto ao do Triângulo das Bermudas é a Fossa de Mariana, na costa sul do Japão. Espantosamente, esse lugar está entre os únicos na Terra que possuem os canais submarinos cruciais para o desenvolvimento da vida. A área costuma ser chamada de Triângulo do Dragão.
There's a triangle off of the coast of Japan. It's called the Dragon's Triangle. It's an area where ships, airplanes disappear. It's similar in some ways to the Bermuda Triangle.
Curiosamente, ambos os triângulos contêm fossas que estão entre as mais profundas dos oceanos. A de Mariana, que tem quase 18 quilômetros, é o local mais profundo do planeta.
You have a deep sea trench there because the Pacific Plate is plunging back into the Earth's interior all the way along this rim of fire, as we call it. And the Marianas Trench happens to be one of the most famous trenches because it's the deepest one in the world.
Do outro lado do planeta, no extremo sul do Triângulo das Bermudas, está a Fossa de Porto Rico, a região mais profunda do Atlântico.
The Puerto Rico Trench is about 8,350 meters deep, or about 5 miles.
Os dois pontos mais profundos da Terra estão no mesmo plano latitudinal, um do lado diretamente oposto do outro no globo. Seria apenas coincidência ou haveria uma razão?
The Dragon's Triangle in Japan is similar in some ways to the Bermuda Triangle. So we have a multiple situation here where perhaps there's black holes in these areas that cause a lot of problems and disappearances. Perhaps the Bermuda Triangle is connected to the Dragon's Triangle by a simple wormhole.
Alguns teóricos especulam que no espaço cada buraco negro está ligado a um buraco branco correspondente. Entre eles haveria um túnel que se estende por dimensões que ainda não compreendemos. A NASA chama essas passagens teóricas de buracos de minhoca.
A wormhole is basically a shortcut through time and space. If you were to travel through a wormhole, you'd actually be going minutes, where it'd take you years to travel that distance.
Essas duas misteriosas regiões triangulares em lados opostos da Terra poderiam estar ligadas por um corredor semelhante?
Is there a logical explanation for the Dragon's Triangle? Absolutely none. There are all kinds of scientists, geologists, people who have studied the weather, try to figure this out and they can't come up with anything.
Ao ser sugada para um buraco negro, a matéria é esmagada até um tamanho infinitamente pequeno e desaparece para sempre. Do mesmo modo, acredita-se que centenas de navios e aviões foram absorvidos por forças no Triângulo das Bermudas.
Bermuda was well known from the earliest recorded days for its sudden changes in weather. I've experienced some of these myself, where you're lying at anchor and it's a lovely, gorgeous day and you turn around and look in the other direction and there's a wall of black heading towards you.
O marinheiro veterano Ted Tucker navega pelo Triângulo das Bermudas há 60 anos e conhece bem seus perigos.
I've been in 3 times that I could remember really spectacular. I mean, a thunderstorm like you couldn't even imagine. We're going for hours and hours and hours, and the lightning was going this way and up and down. And the boat would get so charged up that all around your window frames you'd get static electricity. A little blue fire would go all around and up on the rails or anywhere. Of course, that shut everything down.
There's no question of the fact that the climate around Bermuda can change suddenly. Squalls and storms can appear out of nowhere, and hundreds of ships have gone down in the Bermuda area as a result of these accidents of fate.
Tempestades violentas e ventos excessivos que surgem e desaparecem sem aviso seriam outros indícios de que há um paralelo entre o funcionamento dos buracos negros e o do Triângulo das Bermudas.
If there's a black hole in the Earth, weather conditions over a period of time would dramatically start to be quite noticeable and cause very odd effects because of the geomagnetic field of the Earth is being distorted, causing incredible weird effects like storms and strange weather patterns.
Do mesmo modo que os buracos negros se intensificam com o tempo ao consumir tudo a seu redor, os cientistas predizem que a violência que emana do triângulo também pode se intensificar em um futuro muito próximo.
If the planet's warming up, the oceans are getting hotter, that is driving more powerful storms, and that is providing the potential for these bigger storms to hit the coastline of the Gulf and Florida.
The Bermuda Triangle is literally the area that most hurricanes that are going to hit the US actually pass through. We've seen over the last 2 years that the number of hurricanes hitting the Caribbean region have actually markedly increased.
Bill Maguire e Mark Maslin são cientistas do University College de Londres.
So what we're looking at in the future, particularly for the Caribbean region, is a warmer ocean, putting more energy into the atmosphere, producing stronger and possibly more frequent hurricanes. And so therefore we have a big threat to the US.
Os furacões se formam nas águas quentes da costa da África Ocidental e ganham força ao passar pelo Triângulo das Bermudas. Essas tempestades seguem a corrente do Golfo pela costa leste dos Estados Unidos.
What's happening with climate change is you're getting a huge amount of ice melted in Greenland and sea ice around the Arctic. That's diluting the Gulf Stream and it's causing it to slow down. Will that lead to less hurricanes? Well, I suspect it might actually lead to more.
O retardamento da corrente do Golfo pode fazer com que as rotas usuais para o Caribe e o sul dos Estados Unidos se alterem, levando os furacões do Triângulo das Bermudas a regiões que não conhecem seu poder destrutivo, como Nova York, Boston e Washington. Grandes centros populacionais que se consideram relativamente a salvo de furacões e tsunamis.
In this part of the Atlantic, if you're dealing with a situation where you have sweltering conditions, more powerful storms, it's very, very difficult for normal life to go on. We may face a point in decades to come where the hurricane season lasts the whole year round and where hurricanes are heading off up the east coast of the US. Again, this area is sourcing what could be a huge hazard that spreads right across the Atlantic basin.
Ao consumir mais matéria, o buraco negro aumenta de tamanho e intensidade. Do mesmo modo, ao aumentar de volume devido às temperaturas altas, o Triângulo das Bermudas também se torna mais destrutivo.
Because of climate change, we're seeing things like dramatic rise in sea levels, this sort of thing. That rise in sea level can load the crust, it can add extra weight to the crust, and that can make it unstable. So climate change can actually trigger geological events as well. It can also activate faults, so it can trigger earthquakes. Those earthquakes may in turn trigger submarine landslides. So the whole thing is interconnected.
Ondas de energia na forma de gravidade e luz ultravioleta são emitidas quando os buracos negros consomem matéria. Do mesmo modo, quando mais matéria é criada no fundo da fossa de Porto Rico, o Triângulo das Bermudas libera ondas de água na forma de tsunamis, capazes de destruição em escala global.
Tsunamis in the Caribbean basin in general are very, very common. In the last 500 years, there have been more than 90 tsunamis that were reported. Many of them caused a lot of damage. Tsunamis are basically caused by a rapid change in the sea floor, which moves rapidly all the water that is above it. You can imagine that. Just like if you, in the bathtub, you took the bottom of the bathtub and you moved it up a little bit, or you moved it sideways, you'll cause a big wave that will start, traveling.
North of Puerto Rico, the coastline of the southern US is very, very steep. There have been huge landslides that have happened in the past as massive great chunks of rock have plunged into the Caribbean and presumably sent tsunamis off northwards and also southwards. Now this is a very unstable part of the crust, and it's perfectly possible that big earthquakes in the future will cause more huge landslides and send out more tsunamis right across that part of the Atlantic.
So there is a real possibility in the Caribbean of there being tsunamis of 15 meters high sweeping across the Caribbean into the southern United States.
Segundo a pesquisa feita por Mesley e Maguire, o futuro pode ser bastante sombrio no interior e ao redor do buraco negro da Terra.
Well, in the so-called Bermuda Triangle region, there are many, many hazards that the area is going to face in the next 100 years. Hurricanes are going to get more powerful. We will have sea levels rising quite dramatically by the looks of things. On top of that, because sea levels will be higher, it means that the storm surges from hurricanes will be that much more devastating. They will penetrate more inland. They will be even more devastating than we saw with Katrina. There is the potential for big earthquakes to the south of the region, also collapses on the continental margin, giant submarine landslides. They can trigger again big tsunamis. It's in a pretty vulnerable situation actually, and you're talking complete devastation.
Furacões, terremotos, deslizamentos, vulcões, tsunamis, manifestações assustadoras da fúria da natureza. Fenômenos semelhantes, estranhos e inexplicáveis teoricamente também ocorrem no espaço. Ambos afetam a gravidade e o magnetismo, ambos desafiam nossas noções de espaço e tempo. Ambos são centros de anomalias e destruição. No entanto, dessa violência pode emergir as origens da vida no universo e no nosso planeta.
The whole evolution of life requires violence. So if you're going to generate life, you have to have a big energy source, and the violence of the earth is an energy source for helping life move along.
À medida que aprendemos mais sobre o espaço, percebemos que ainda restam muitos mistérios a desvendar em nosso próprio planeta.
People that would say that there's a black hole in the Bermuda Triangle is preposterous. I would say there's a lot that we don't know about life in general and about all the cosmic interconnections.
The Milky Way is full of black holes, teeming with black holes. But there could be another population of black holes, and they would be completely invisible. And those black holes could be everywhere. They could be even heading towards the Earth, and we wouldn't know anything about it until it was too late.
We only have one planet to study, one example, so we don't really know what planets do. So we're at the threshold of laboratory.
Há 200 anos não sabíamos nada sobre os buracos negros. Agora temos provas de que existem. O que a humanidade descobrirá a seguir?